All right, we are live, Will, and welcome everybody to the Love What You Do show. And today I've got Wil Thomas on here. He's a friend that I met through the Mankind Project. And Will is one of the happiest people I've ever met. And I was like, let's have him on for an interview. And you will see Will is, he looks like an illusion right now. He doesn't, his computer doesn't have a camera. And so we're just doing this over voice. So if this is the podcast you're listening to, it doesn't matter. If you're watching it on YouTube or on live on Facebook, then you're going to watch me instead of Will, but it doesn't really matter, right, Will?
No. Like we were just discussing, if you don't have resources, you be resourceful and work with what you've got, you know. I have a camera on the way, but maybe we could do that next time, you know.
Yep, and it doesn't really matter, you know. We're right before we went live, we were just, I was just sharing with Will, it's like we make up so much in our minds about what we expect to see, right? And when we think that's the truth, we get stuck inside of that, and it doesn't allow for other things to show up in life. Like, oh my God, it's going to be this. And then you walk into the space and you're like, oh, I didn't think it was going to look like that. That's different. And sometimes we make that bad. Sometimes we make it wrong. And sometimes it's a great surprise. Yeah. So I want to hear more about, and I want the people who are watching or listening to this to know more about who you are, right, and your journey, because you weren't always the happiest person in the world, right?
Dude, I spent most of my life in anger and fear and grief and just, all the lower level emotions. And this is bad for our health. You know, we have some sense that stress is bad for us. Now I get all the science behind it, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a ton of science that shows this, and the happier you can be and the more time you can spend in elevated emotions, dude, this is like rocket fuel for your health, you know. Besides, it's fun and it feels good, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be happy. We didn't have this modeled for us, and we don't know how to do it, you know, a lot of us, you know, on a consistent basis.
That modeling is a very important word.
Yes.
It's perfect too, like what's going on in the world too, of like, a lot of people are angry and upset and all that. And I don't want to go down that thing, but how were things modeled for you?
Yeah. So you haven't been to my website, have you?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, can I give a plug?
Mm-hmm.
It's behappynow.org.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just opened that up in February, so it's got a lot of work to do on it yet. But I've started my story, and so you can see like my early childhood at this point.
Yeah.
And most people would say it was less than ideal, you know. And but you know, I would definitely not change my childhood for anybody else's. It's never too late to have an ideal, perfect childhood. You just have to reframe how you see it, you know? Yeah. This was an enormous blessing for me. It's created this super resilience in me now. Now I can deal with anything that comes my way, you know? And I'm completely unaffected. People can't make me feel any particular way, you know? Yeah. Unless I give them permission to, you know?
Well, that's really cool. I mean,
yeah.
I interviewed someone, my friend Kira, and she had a really rough childhood.
Yeah.
And she shared the same thing of like, man, it was really rough, but it really set me up for being happy now.
Yes. So I wouldn't trade with anybody.
Yeah. So tell me about the, the journey, that process of like one day life sucks and then something happens or this journey begins. What was that like, and what was, what'd you go through? Like, someone's listening that's not very happy, and they want to have more smiles on their face like you do.
Yes, and I want to help with that. So I'm not sure exactly where to start. I guess I'll start when my wife moved out.
Mm-hmm.
This was a major descending time for me. You know, I told myself all kinds of things, what this meant, about me and my life. And Uh, sorry. It'll
I'm on
stop.
love you.
It'll stop in a minute. I'll turn it off.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. You can grab it if you need to.
No, 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 no. Um, I always enjoy engaging with whoever I'm with, on the phone or the email or whatever can wait.
Yeah.
So she moved out, and there's a ton of work to be done around here. I have a better than organic farm, and with dairy goats and chickens and various other animals, and so so anyway, I started getting where I had suicidal thoughts every day. Like, life is so hard. And I didn't realize I was in this deep state of victim mentality.
Yeah.
And a lot of men in the Mankind projects are still there, and they don't realize it. This is super common. And so this was so uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
That I thought, I can't stay where I am. So at some point it occurred to me that the universe is constantly expanding, and I was trying to stay where I was. And so pain was pushing me forward until finally I figured out how to get a vision to pull me ahead, into the future. And so now I'm on a mission, So, yeah, so I just got on the internet, and I'm isolated out here from people. I'm in the middle of the Mark Twain National Forest. And so I didn't have a lot of FaceTime with people. So I got on the internet and I started finding bits and pieces of wisdom from different people. And I guess spirit guided me, or somehow I felt like somebody was helping me, and leading me to find just the right thing at just the right time, And
Yeah.
so my heart is so full of gratitude now. But so I finally, a little at a time. So I started out by one of the first things I got was a book called Zen in the Art of Happiness.
I haven't read that one, but it sounds.
It's super short, and actually the author, as I reflect now, has some of that, when he wrote this anyway, some of that victim mentality also. Because one of the phrases I got was, one of the first things that I used was, anything that happens that seemed like a bad thing, I would say, this is the best possible thing that could happen to me. I wonder what good will come of this, And when I started, the brain likes familiar, but we can make the unfamiliar familiar through, a number of ways, but repetition is one of them.
Yeah.
And so I finally got the hang where this was my go-to statement whenever, like, the dogs pooped in the basement floor or whatever, whatever it was, that I found to be unpleasant.
Damn, that's crap.
Yeah. So I used to have gotten angry, but what really, in hindsight, what am I going to get angry at? The diarrhea or the dogs? The dogs are super well behaved. They would never do this on purpose unless they couldn't help it, And so there really wasn't anyone to be angry at except myself. And why would I do that? So it just helped me start shifting my perspective. And this is what people need, to just shift their perspective and start looking at things in different ways. And when they start thinking different thoughts, they'll start having different feelings. I promise you,
It is a journey. So that was one book. And then, I know there's got to have been some other shifts along the way. Like, is that before you got involved in Mankind, or is that after, or?
Oh, no, this has been in the past few years here. And I've been, I did the Mankind Project thing in 2001.
Okay. And for people who haven't done Mankind, it's a great awakening, right? To something, to discovering. Maybe I would describe it as Mankind Project is a great way to become aware of your emotions and what they mean. Would you describe it as that?
Well, let me think about that a little bit. It's I think it's a better training for some men than for other ones. For somebody who's super asleep, it is a first step.
Yeah.
But there's so much that's missing there, in my opinion. And the leadership is so not open to accepting any new methods of healing, that if they don't open themselves up to different ways, they're going to atrophy and die because they're stuck in 1920 or something, with their methods.
Yeah, I hear you there. I loved my participation. It really gave me a great foundation. It really gave me a great a place to like ground and understand myself and emotions. And the one thing that I think, I don't know if it's just difference or my trajectory was like, I want to focus on going forward and not so much in the past.
Yes.
I think that's where I think there's truth to be found in the past, but I think there's also sometimes you can't move forward if you're always looking in the rear view, right?
Exactly. That's a nice piece of wisdom. So, and another thing that I've learned is it's totally not necessary to revisit the pain of the past to heal from it.
And is that like that seems to be very common, or not very common, but like a lot of like the thread of what you shared with me, of like, hey, I'm not focused on the past anymore. I'm just focused on where I want to go. Right.
Yes.
Where did that start coming in? Because I know that's been a struggle for me of like staying focused on, where you want to go. Right.
Yes. Imagine. I mean, if I wake up this morning and I start worrying about people and events in my life, I'm in a very real way going to be creating a predictable future based on the pain from my past, and don't have to do that. There's two places I want to focus my attention, because where my attention goes is where my energy flows.
Mm-hmm.
I want to focus my attention on the generous present moment or the amazing future that I'm creating for myself.
It's hard sometimes too.
Well, if you tell yourself that, it will be.
No, stop! Don't give me all that good stuff.
No, it's literally true, dude. You know about the placebo effect, right? What you believe is a powerful influence in your life. Yep. If you change your beliefs, you'll change your life.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm open to like having a more raw conversation about that, because that's something I just had one of these conversations yesterday with this woman who's living out in Hawaii, and she helped create a little bit of shift for me of like, just choose where you want to go, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at right now. It's like, oh, and I'm seeing for myself that I'm complete where I'm at right now. Like,
yes.
What I mean is like I got put in this physical location that literally is across the street from a church. And that is like a big, gigantic sign. If I don't see that, I don't know how else I will see it. That, to put God back in my life as the foundation, like the first thing, right? Yeah. And everything's been aligning since then, right? And so it's now like, okay, I think I got the sign.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now I know where to lean into first. Now, where do I want to go inside of that, or where do I want to shift inside of that? And the first thing for me is like nature, and there's probably going to be some water around it or something like that. Not so much for me, but I think it just really helps keep me grounded. And it's where I think I'm being led to, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And so another part of my story, I'll just since you gave me kind of a segue into it.
Yeah.
So I won't give you the whole story, but so I grew up with my grandfather, I'll call him that, was a Pentecostal minister,
Yeah.
And so I haven't really read the Bible since I was maybe 8 or 10, but I still remember a lot of it. And so much of it makes sense to me now. So I spent most of my life among the ungodly and the sinners, and really thinking, really frowning on religious doctrine and people, and
guilty.
Yeah. And so now I've sort of had a come to Jesus meeting, and I'm visiting churches and I'm shining light and love on people everywhere I go now, but that's, so my life is so amazing. This is another thing. When we learn to be generous with people instead of stingy and hoarding, and well, I don't like the word hoarding, but instead of being so self-centered, really be generous, you will change yourself in amazing ways. It's incredible what a difference this makes. And other people are happy around you for it too, and grateful. And
yep.
So I tell them, that this doesn't come from me. I'm just a channel. This is a gift from God, And
It's pretty cool.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the way I see it too.
So how, so the website and the thing that you're creating for yourself, right? Like Be Happy Now, right? What's your big vision? I mean, what is it you want to give back to the world? I know you're already doing it. You're doing it right now. But share more of like what that bigger vision is for you.
Well, it's an interesting question. I'm actually scheduled a process that I'm not even really sure what it is, but I know it's going to move the needle for me like right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just like all these synchronicities are lining up, and I know on some level I'm creating this, but also I feel led and guided. And so I think I'm going to have a lot more clarity then after I have do this process.
Do you want to share that process, or is it still something you're working through, or?
It's actually something somebody's going to lead me through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so
Gotcha.
I'm embracing the unknown again. I don't really know. I know one. I've got one Facebook friend who has just experienced this, and she was telling me her experience was like it changed her life
Cool.
in an hour.
Well, that sounds awesome.
And she's still experiencing these changes. And like it's just pretty profound stuff. And so I may start doing this too. But anyway, so the instructions, feedback I got from people who've been through this before is that one of the things I can expect is to have a lot more clarity about what I'm doing here, what my purpose is, because we all have a purpose here. Everybody has a story that the world wants to hear and needs to hear. And but most of us don't know that yet. Most of us think we're not enough.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you shared a little bit of a process with me, a few weeks ago about getting clearer on your purpose, right?
Yes.
Would you want to share a little bit of that here? Like to maybe someone that's listening that maybe they could, I don't think we have to go through the whole thing, but I think you can kind of get the gist, and I think it would be helpful.
Okay. Well, it's called 7 Layers Deep. And it's a series of questions that's really like the same question. But the goal is when you start out, people think, okay, so let me back up just a minute. So if I have a strong why about what I'm going to do, then I'll always be able to figure out how. That'll never be a problem. But if I'm a little unclear on my why, then things will be harder for me to make progress forward. I don't know if that was your experience, but
yeah.
But so when we first start out, we first ask the question, so why do you want to do this? We're in our heads. So the goal is by the time we get to the bottom, we're in our hearts, and we know a deeper level of why we want to be doing whatever it is, that's on our list.
Yeah. When you went through that process for yourself, what did you discover?
I'm trying to remember now. I don't have anything in front of me that's got that, but I think where I ended up with was I want freedom was one of the things I wanted.
You sound like it. You sound like you got a lot of freedom.
Yeah, it's an inside job too. I mean, they could lock me in a prison cell and I would feel free.
Yeah,
it really is.
That's a really clear. Point of view. That you could lock yourself in a prison cell and you still feel, as happy as sitting outside in the park.
Well, I have my preferences, of course,
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that our external circumstances have nothing to do with how we feel unless we let them,
Yep. I think it's very powerful inside where you're, where you're coming from and what your preferences are, right?
Yeah.
And when you shared that with me, I got clearer and clearer on, freedom is a value of mine that I want to be able to express and travel and stuff like that. but also too was, confidence and helping people with their own confidence, because that's something that I've struggled with, and it means a lot to me. And that's what these conversations are really about, because you can bring in new clarity, from someone else's perspective, right?
Yes. We're here to help each other, and
Yeah.
and instead of to compete and all that, we're here to cooperate. And this is an amazing time in history. To a lot of people, this looks rough and jagged and chaotic, and we have to let go of the old systems to have something even better,
Yeah. I mean, you have to have like that breakdown before.
Yes. So everything that I see, only good news, I'm aware that there are people out there hurting each other and their anger. But, this is part of the shift. Where we're heading right now is amazing, It's
going to be pretty cool. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Well, I don't know what the details all look like, but I have a general picture of it now. And humanity is evolving, and we're headed into a truly amazing time.
I kind of see things, on a broader perspective. The internet started 25 years ago or something like that. I don't remember the exact dates, but I think if you look back in time, a big shift started happening a long time ago. And I think some of it started to happen like maybe around the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
And from that, not from the 60s or 70s, but when the internet was born, it was the start of us starting to be more connected, like through the internet. And I think the internet's like tool or its purpose is to help us see each other and that we're more connected, right? And I'm broadcasting on the internet, and people are being able to learn your perspective of life, my perspective of life, and that can bring us all together, so to speak, in a better, grander understanding. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm raising my hand. You can't see it right now.
Okay. I'll raise it. I got it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just, I've just been able to see that for a while. It's hard to articulate, but it's like the whole world gets to start to come together and see each other,
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what else about your journey, should someone know that's sitting on the other side, that's like, my life sucks right now. I just got divorced, or, I'm going through some sort of, rough patch. What advice can you give them that you'd want to share that might help move the needle for themselves?
Well, there are a whole bunch of feel-good quotes that I've heard my whole life that I always never really. So one of them is, like, be the change you want to be, see in the world. All of these things are literally true, but I couldn't really appreciate them until recently. I would say that if I can do this, you can do this. You got it, dude or dudette. I promise you, you are totally amazing. And once you come to appreciate yourself, you'll come to appreciate everybody else. I love everybody, and I've had people hate on me because I told them I loved them. I was giving a business talk, and I don't remember the context exactly, but at some point, some woman said something to me, and I said, I told her I loved her, and she said, "You don't love me. You don't even know me." And so it's all about perspective again. I just have a different worldview from hers, and I didn't really take the time to expand on that with her because I was doing a teaching piece, But people are sometimes offended for really insane reasons. Here's another expression I like. It's like, like I've had so many people call my ex-wife, because she's like my best friend now. We talk on the phone every morning, and call her and ask her, like, is his sanity okay? How's his mental health? Because he's going through a manic stage now, And she says, no, this is his new normal, and he's just figured things out. he's happy all the time, and he knows how to do it now, you know. And so here's an expression that I like related to that is, the sane man seems insane to the insane, you know. Like,
The sane man seems insane to the sane.
to the insane. Most of the world is crazy right now, but they don't know it, you know. They think I'm crazy, right?
What was that? I saw something. I don't know if you posted this or someone else posted this, and it was like when someone shared, like when two people, basically people, you know, that have done a lot of their own internal, you know, inner work and stuff like that, and then they've come to a new place where they're a lot happier, and then they're talking to each other about their journey. That it looks like two crazy people talking to each other because they're hearing it through another lens, and they're like, "What is wrong with these people? Why are they so happy?" Like,
I know. Like, instead of wishing us well, you know.
yeah, well, I mean, they're just viewing it from their negative viewpoint, right? Or their view of the world. It's just their ego talking, you know.
Yeah. Here's
And,
another. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, here's another expression or thought I have around that. It's like, oh, I must be getting old. I just forgot. It just left me. Let's see. What was it?
I don't know.
Oh, well, it'll come back.
Yeah, you know what I find too, Will? This is interesting. Is that I don't know if this is true or not, but I want to ask this question. If I share something that is confronting for the other person, and it could seem innocent, right, to me, they will shut down and turn their direction because they really don't want to face it. And it's like our egos are, you know, like, will really trigger us not to look and face, you know, the pain in our life. And it can be a word, it could be a person, it could be, you know, some sort of experience. And as soon as we like witness that thing, you know, I've known for myself, like, I want to turn and run, but it's so unconscious. Have you found the same thing for yourself?
I spent most of my life unconscious and doing the very thing you're talking about, you know. But
Yeah.
the first step in making a change in the direction you want to go is recognizing that there's something that you might want to change. Like, in other ways, like you say, you know, you could call it a problem. It's an opportunity to learn something about yourself. Is what it is, you know.
Yeah. It's that. It's not. Here's where I was going to share. Is like, I take me everywhere I go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm complaining about other people, or being triggered by other people, or being triggered by other experiences, I'm the common denominator, you know, and it's hard to face.
Yes, I thought of the other thought I had. It's like, so when people, we tend to find what we're looking for, and if we're looking for fault with someone, like if you look at me and you're trying to find fault with me, you'll be successful because I'm not perfect. Yeah. I mean, look, take the story of Jesus, right? I mean, here's this dude who seemed pretty cool, but somebody was finding fault with him, you know. Like,
yeah, so they killed him.
But if you're looking to find what's good about me, not only will you find that, but you'll create a whole different set of emotions for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be blessing yourself as much more than you're blessing me.
It's I think it's like when you go through the process, it's like starting to work a new muscle that hasn't been worked, so to speak.
Yes.
Right?
You're creating new neural networks, you know, and we talked a little bit about this before, but this is called learning, you know. Yeah. And then the more you exercise them, then you're remembering that and strengthening those, and the circuits that wire together and become stronger over time, you know.
Yeah, it's such a conundrum sometimes. Like when you want to, I guess there's no real super fast way, right?
Well, actually, I've discovered there are some super fast ways to heal. There's all these new energy healing modalities, and I have a ton of them listed on my website under resources. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I've undergone some rapid transformations through some of these processes.
So share, you know, is there any of them that you want to share? Like, you don't have to, we don't have to do that, but I mean, like, you know, a few that might be really helpful, or.
Well, I would ask people to just go to my website because there's just a ton of them, and some of them will appeal more to some people than others because, we all have our different
Okay.
biases,
I'm going to put the in the comments. What's your website again?
It's behappynow.org.
I'm going to put that in the chat. Oh, wait a minute. Can I put that in the chat? Yeah. Be Happy Now. behappynow.org.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So now it's on the internet now, Will. So.
Well, I'm trying to get the word out, Hey, so I started in February. I've got, I think, like close to 7,000 followers already,
Wow. Cool.
I know.
And that's on the website?
No, I don't think it says that. I think it tells me that on my Facebook page.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting, well, cool. We're kind of getting towards the tail end here. Is there anything else you want, someone that's sitting on the that end of the depression pool, so to speak, that you'd encourage them to go check out? Words of wisdom to to give them. Yeah, I'm trying not to control the flow here, but I'm like, okay, I think.
Yeah, I can pick it up. Yeah. So, man, to anybody who's not satisfied with their life, I promise you, at some point you'll find that it just takes one more try and you're there. You found what you're looking for. So don't ever give up, never give up. Yeah. Just hang in there, and do whatever you can find to make yourself stronger until you're able to totally stand on your own and be strong for yourself. Because so many of us, and we can draw strength from others, right?
Yeah.
And,
totally.
but we can get to a point where we don't need to be dependent on that. We're strong in ourselves and we can help other people. And so this is my wish for everyone listening.
That's cool.
Actually, it's not a wish. Hope is kind of like a beggar, I've decided,
Mm-hmm.
There's always room for it's not going to happen with hope,
Uh-huh.
So I use the words like faith and trust now. I trust that everyone listening is on a beautiful path, and they're going to heal themselves and find exactly what they need at exactly the right time, and they're going to be happy and beautiful and fulfilled and begin helping other people. That's my vision.
That's cool, man. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Will. I appreciate you sharing your story and just your, I guess you could say, essence is really what shows through, and
wait till I get my camera.
Well, perfect. Well,
Yeah.
we'll end on that, and yeah, I appreciate you, man. Yeah,
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor.
yeah,
Really.
no worries.
Yeah, maybe we can do it again. All right.
Yeah, let's do it again. And I'll end the broadcast now, and then we'll talk after this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but all right, everybody, go be happy now.org.
Peace out.
Bye.